I tell you, China is getting the hit of it, I have to say. This is my third video about China's catastrophe right now, but it's not about the same kind of catastrophe. So a tornado did something in China that sounds almost impossible, we have to say. It did not just rip roofs of houses. It did not just knock down trees. I mean, we know tornadoes do that. In Huanggang, in central China's Hubei province, the wind, and I'm showing you the videos in the background while I'm telling you what happened. The wind was so violent that a man was pulled out of a 12th floor apartment along with furniture from inside its home. I mean, that sounds like what happens if you're in an airplane up in the air and the emergency door flies away or something like that. You get sucked out. This is how intense that was. Absolutely crazy. So a couch, cabinets, pieces of a room that should have been protected high above the ground were just flying out. And down below, same crazy stuff at a logistics site. Trucks were not just flipped over, overturned. Some were lifted and thrown as much as 30 meters. That's roughly 100 feet. So this is really like out of a Hollywood movie, like Twister, I think was one. Really, that changes the whole story, what's going on here in China. It's absolutely crazy because when we hear typhoon in China, yeah, we're thinking about coastal flooding, storm surge, and heavy rain. Heavy rain, I have just reported about the dam that collapsed in China and has caused most insane flooding. Absolutely crazy. I'll put that in the end screen. I'll show you that. But this time, and this is connected to the typhoon, one of the most dangerous impacts actually happened inland inside tornadoes, like violent rotating thunderstorms. And it's not one isolated, like weak spin up that was happening. 2 tornadoes and severe convective storms were tearing through eastern Hubei, hitting areas around Huanggang, Huangxi, Ezhou, and Xiangning. So the storms moved through this area over several hours. So not a quick and gone. It has damaged thousands of homes, has collapsed buildings, has overturned vehicles, has injured hundreds, at least 11 people were lost, hundreds are injured, probably thousands. One person they say is still missing. It's surprising, only one. I mean, let's hope it remains like this. And all of this happened while China was already dealing with tropical storm flooding in the south. And while then the second, even stronger typhoon, Bavi, was moving across the Western Pacific and East Asia. But in this video, I want to focus on the tornadoes because really, and you see the images of the tornadoes in the dark, which makes it even more frightening because you can see them. What we see there, these tornadoes, they reveal mostly hidden danger inside a typhoon pattern. Because we don't think automatically typhoon equals tornadoes. We think, okay, tornadoes is something different from a typhoon. So not only the eye of the storm is basically what you need to worry about, where the big danger is. It's also the whole atmosphere that's around this typhoon. Because what can this typhoon do? It can create the perfect birthplace for tornadoes, the perfect conditions for tornadoes to form, because a typhoon can send tropical moisture very far inland, and that moisture then feeds the thunderstorms. And then if the wind changes direction and the speed with height, that's when the atmosphere then begins to twist, right? What happens actually is then near the ground, the warm, wet air gets pulled in, and then above it, we have stronger winds that basically race in a different direction. And that basically creates an invisible horizontal rotation. You don't see it. It's basically like a rolling tube of air. And then a thunderstorm updraft grabs that rotation, tilts it upright, stretches it, tightens it, and suddenly the storm has a rotating core. This is how violent a thunderstorm can become and how it can become like a tornado producer. And this outbreak is quite alarming. And of course, because of that fact, because Hubei is not a coastal province that is sitting directly underneath a typhoon or underneath the eye wall of a typhoon, right? We're talking about inland. This is central China. It's far from where many people would expect like the worst tropical cyclone damage. But it is, because the atmosphere does not care about the coastline. Once all perfect ingredients are in place, it doesn't need the coastline. It needs the moisture, the instability, wind shear, and then a triggering boundary, and that is enough, right? And all of that has lined up perfectly just 2 days ago over eastern Hubei. And if you look at the damage pattern, that tells us what actually happened, right? What we see in the videos, a logistics company and warehouse area were hit very hard. You see steel beams were like pieces of matches, right? Trucks moved, glass doors shattered, buildings damaged, homes torn apart, farmland destroyed. Nearly 5,000 homes were reported damaged and dozens collapsed. So this was not a quick gust front, as meteorologists like to say. It was because we know a gust front can knock things over, but it does not usually create narrow path of extreme destruction with objects lifted and thrown away. So these tornadoes have concentrated the wind into a much smaller area, and that's what makes it so destructive. If it's only the typhoon, it can cover hundreds of miles. Tornado usually can only be like a few hundred feet wide, few hundred meters, and can go a few miles, right? But this is a narrow path, right? But inside that narrow path, the wind can go from dangerous to unsurvivable, I have to say, in seconds. That's what's so scary. I hate tornadoes. Kudos to all of you who live in tornado-prone areas. This freaks me out. You're brave, and I hope you're safe, and I hope this will never affect you. I know some viewers have been affected by the bad tornadoes in the US, so our hearts go out to you. So this is a trap, right? Dangerous in seconds. You can look at that typhoon track. You can look at it on the map. You can think, oh yeah, the main storm is still offshore. Or you can think, yeah, the center is still far away. But tornadoes do not need the center to be right above you, as we have learned here in China, right? So they form in outer rain bands and feeder bands or severe thunderstorm lines that basically develop ahead of the larger tropical system. So that means basically that tornadoes can arrive before the main storm arrives. Can happen fast at night. At night it's the worst. And it can happen in places where people are not mentally prepared for that, for tornado damage. They don't have tornado shelters most likely. Yes, China does get tornadoes, but this kind of destructive inland outbreak in Hubei is not an everyday event. It's definitely not. Reports describe this as the first major tornado event there since 2021. If people have not seen a tornado in years, they do not react the same way they react to a typhoon warning or a flood alert, right? Typhoon warning, yeah, feels familiar. Tornado warning, that feels unreal. What? No, right? But I guess after what just happened, this will be different. So this was Tropical Storm Maysak. Now the next storm, a bigger one, hits Hubei. Now Bavi is the next storm system that is being watched offshore, and that creates a dangerous sequence. First, the ground becomes saturated. Then rivers, reservoirs, drainage systems are stressed. Then another typhoon approaches, Bavi, right? Any new band of thunderstorms can worsen or produce new flash flooding, landslides, damaging straight line winds, and if the wind shear is strong enough, more tornadoes. So this pattern that is developing there needs our attention, right? It's a chain of storms that we're basically dealing with here. I will keep you updated about this. I'm on the pulse with this for you. And I have to say, I'll put 2 videos in the end screen about what's going on in China right now. A double earthquake, strange location. That raises questions. A lot of destruction because it was so shallow. I'll put that in the end screen, but I'll put also in the end screen that dam that broke. Also crazy videos all about China. So watch it here. I see you there. I'm not sure. Is it here or is it there or like this? I'll decide where I put the videos in the end screen. So thanks for watching. Leave it a like and a hype, and I hope to see you in a second. Bye-bye.